Ladies and gentlemen, you're staring down at the bottom of the bottle once again. And I'm your host, Duke Lang. Let's get it going. Come on! Hit him with the fat. You know, they ask me all the time, like, you know, what do you want on your podcast? Bottom of the bottle? Is it fucking music? Is it drinking beer? No, ladies and gentlemen, turns out the answer is fucking egg yolks.
Quail egg
fucking
yolks.
Quail eggs. Eat a dozen of them motherfuckers.
Y'all are going to learn today
Y'all
some
gonna
facts
learn
about quail eggs.
Fucking today.
Y'all going to get an education.
I can't get 45 seconds into a fucking podcast without the Rad Hatter, Cati Kincaid, fucking with your incredible fucking one-liners. My God, I swear to God.
It's purely educational. It's a very educational
Y'all
podcast.
motherfuckers gonna learn something today. We have the Rad Hatter. We have Cati Kincaid over here.
I ain't even joking.
Fucking stop. Stop. Please stop. I'm fucking around. Oh my God.
I think that's all the egg jokes I got, so I think we're good to go from here on out.
I think it's all the egg jokes that exist in the universe.
I had to get them out.
I think it's all the egg jokes that exist in the universe.
I think I just hit them all, so I think we're good.
My God, about to hit a fucking...
I expected there to be about a dozen, but I guess I hope everybody enjoys this as
they're
much
gonna
as
fucking
we
love it.
idiots
This is probably going to be the most interesting fucking podcast we've had yet. You're my very first non-musical guest that has been on the podcast, but my best friend in the entire world. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not have any ideas as to who this girl is, every time that you've seen me on stage, every time that you've seen me out, every time that you've seen me around hanging out with friends, taking pictures on Facebook, doing dumb shit, I'm always wearing a hat that has been made by the Rad Hatter.
Especially when the dumb shit is going on.
Especially when the dumb shit's going on. By the Rad Hatter herself, Miss Cati Kincaid. Cati, tell us a little bit about what you do. Tell us a little bit about who you are and sort of your process in kind of, our involvement together.
All right, so... what I do right now is...
Other than make fucking incredible jokes and fucking just...
incredible jokes.
Cracking fucking great jokes.
Cracking incredible jokes. Cracking incredible yolks.
That's it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize entirely on that one. We drank some beer before this.
This is
so
fucking great. This is how I need to start every
it's
podcast.
Getting cheesy. So I'm what one would call a hatter.
The Rad Hatter.
The Rad Hatter, the raddest of the hatters. I'll take your hat and I'll make it radder.
That's it. I like it.
And I heavily customize hats at this point. I'm still working on the dream right now of custom building from the very, very, very ground up. I one day want to be able to not just make a hat from a raw body, but to actually make the body of the hat itself and everything. So that's all the nerdy nonsense part that y'all don't have to know about.
No, it's not nerdy nonsense. We'll explain some of this nerdy nonsense. So what you do now is basically take hats that are pre-made and kind of add your own twist to them, shape the crown, shape the brim,
and entirely
and add accessories.
I can take it almost back to the very basics of it. As far as shape and style is concerned, open it up, flatten it out to where it's kind of a blank canvas from there.
To basically fucking transform it into anything that you want.
Into
Because you were able to take
you want, rather than what I want, what you want.
Exactly. So you were able to take the hat, my most recent hat that I did, that 20X black gold, which is basically just a fucking your standard George Strait looking hat,
standard high quality.
Standard high quality hat, very high quality.
Standard
hat.
shape. High quality.
Absolutely. Very nice hat. And then basically she was able to take a hat like that went from George Strait to fucking
Super
Motley
cowboy.
Crue, fucking super cowboy into the most fucking rock and roll badass shit you've ever seen.
Some Edgar Allan Poe rock and roll.
Reads Edgar Allan Poe once.
With a little... Because that thing, it definitely has a raven skull on it.
No, it fucking does.
And
you've never done anything like that.
I don't know how many hats in this world have raven skulls
I want to think that I'm the first one.
But I think you may be the first to know.
I think so. And
if
again,
somebody listening to this also has one, keep it to yourself.
Yeah,
and
fuck you and fuck off. Because I'm
this was
first
an original
and
idea.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the guy from like Norway or wherever that I ordered this raven skull and feathers from is really neat and interesting and scary looking. But he delivered the goods that I ordered on time via Etsy, so I left him a good review.
Shout out to Etsy.
Shout out to that guy on Etsy. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry, everyone, if you're looking for your source for raven skulls and feathers. But I will tell you, he is the source.
They're in high demand right now.
I'll let
just
you
in
know,
case
if you
didn't know.
Google it, you'll probably find him.
Dude, there's only one motherfucker out there.
But he's the motherfucker.
He is the motherfucker.
He's the Raven Skull and Feathers motherfucker. He's that guy.
And just when you think that you
he's a very bare bones kind of guy.
Fucking stop. Oh my God. Just when you think that you can trick Google, you're like, all right, Google, fuck you. I got something that I think doesn't exist.
There ain't shit in this world that Google ain't seen.
There is not shit in this world.
Google's seen some shit.
Exactly. There's not shit in this world that absolutely does not exist. And I was like, all right, a fucking raven skull, like somebody really raises ravens, and whether they die of natural causes or whether this guy fucking sacrificially fucking kills them in a ceremony, which I'm sure is more likely
looking at his picture, like it was... You can make your own assumptions. Literally Google Raven Skulls and Feathers.
There's only one guy out there
He
that
will
does
be
it.
like the guy that shows up, and you go ahead and make your own judgment on that, because I can guarantee you're going to look at him and you're going to think the same thing we thought. We're like, this guy does some weird shit with them ravens before.
Yeah, and he also does magic tricks at kids' birthday parties and, other shit
I'm
like
pretty
that.
sure if I remember right now, this poor guy, hopefully he doesn't ever hear this and is like, well, that's kind of rude. He might hear it and be like, well, that's pretty fucking fair, because I'm like, I think he's got two eyes, but one of them's vastly different than the other.
2 eyes?
2 eyeballs.
Oh, yeah.
But one seam, if I remember right, was pretty different than the other. He's got like long, stringy gray hair, like he's a man witch.
Sloppy Joe, man.
Sloppy Joe,
Sloppy
the
Joe
man witch.
over here. I think they call it, you're a wizard, Harry.
You're a man witch,
You're a man
Joe.
witch. You're a man witch, Joe.
And you do very shoddy work on a lot of things, so
That's it.
that's where you got the name Sloppy Joe.
Oh, God. Motherfucker. I love how off track and off kilter this gets. I like it. Fuck.
So what were we talking about? Hats and what I do?
It doesn't really matter, but yes, talking about hats and talking about your work and your craft. When did you know? Kind of when did you really kind of? And I'm learning this from you too, because I mean you're my best fucking friend. But until you get into a setting like this, to where it's more of an interview.
You've never interviewed me before.
I've never interviewed you before, and I've always kind of fucking
to just
wanted
interview their friends.
And I always wanted to, because you're a very fucking eclectic individual, and I love you to death. But so, how did all this start for you?
So, as you know, because you met me around this time before I even got into hats, I worked at the liquor store here in town, the liquor outlet, like the messiest of the liquor stores, and like the very least, well taken care of. We did dumb
Very
things
bad,
there.
a lot
We
less
did
bougie.
dumb, and it's closed now, and there's good reason for that.
Oh yeah.
But I used to work there. Part of the reason I left is those guys were kind of creepy that ran it. So I was out of there pretty quick. I walked out one day without giving a notice, which is not my style for anything. I'm always the kind where I'm like, I show up, I'm like, I'm gung-ho to work and do whatever I need to do. And I don't do stuff like just randomly not show up to work. But I texted my bosses, and again, I'm not the kind to just be like, I'm going to text you that I'm quitting my job. But it was pretty shitty situation there. So I was like, I texted them and I was like, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
So bye.
I don't feel comfortable. Fuck you.
And so I left. And I was like, well, I need a fucking job. and
that's where it all started. It wasn't like a pre of planned.
No, it literally was just I needed a job.
Okay.
And I had no other job.
Gotcha.
So I was looking, actually at the same time I was looking around for other jobs. I wasn't really looking outside of town from San Marcos.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that D&D Texas Outfitters was looking. They were doing a giveaway for, I forget exactly. I think it was Music Fest tickets. I think they had like a giveaway, and I was like, well, man, like I'll go into their 2 stores. I've got nothing to do today. I don't have a job.
I'm fucking unemployed.
So I'm going to try and win some Music Fest tickets.
Yeah, because that's what I needed to take a fucking $1,500 trip unemployed.
You win the tickets, Drew.
Well,
Free
there's
tickets.
expenses that come along with it.
I think it was like, I don't know if it was an all expense or a thing, but whatever. At the time, I was like, that sounds like it would be a real upper from this downer that I'm feeling right now, but not having a job.
Fair enough.
I'll try my hand at winning some tickets. I'm just going to enter the thing. I went in to the one in New Braunfels, and I saw that they were hiring, and I was like, Western wear store, like, I'm a little Western. Like I'm
a little bit Western.
I can do that. And I think they were hiring a cashier, is what they said. So I went home, made up a little resume, and sent in an application, and got called in for an interview. And in the interview, I I was wearing boots, and the manager asked me about my boots, and I started telling him about them, and he ended up telling me that he wanted me to. He interviewed me for a cashier position, but decided to hire me as the boot salesperson. And with the boot department came the hat department. And I've never worn a hat in my life at this point. I didn't know anything about hats. You could have told me, this is such X, such brim length, such crown height, such shape, such this and that. And I would have been like, I believe you. I don't know what that means, but
green.
I believe you. Sure. Yeah. I had no clue what anything meant. I just got basic kind of training there on how to sell the stuff, And they were like, you're going to have to learn how to use this steamer and shape hats if you're going to have the hat department. And there's something really nerve-wracking about being a completely poor person who doesn't have a dollar to their name and having somebody come in and buy like a $400 or $500 hat and having you steam it and change the shape of it with your hands.
It's like, wow, if I fuck this up, this is on me.
Yeah, and
I don't have the money to compensate for this.
And now, at this point, I know way better that even if you were to mess something up, the hats are extremely hard to mess up, especially like the felt ones that are the expensive ones, and that's a big part of why they're expensive is they're better. But anyway, long story short, I was really nervous about it. I would, for the most part, watched the managers shape because they grew up, country, and they own a Western store. It's like the sons of the owner, so they all grew up in this, and they knew how to shape hats generally. It wasn't like a passion of any of theirs, but something you did when you own a Western wear store.
Comes with the fucking territory.
Exactly. And so I'd watch them do it, and then I had one customer show up one day with a hat to shape when none of them were there. And it was a younger guy. He said it was his little brother's hat that he'd left on the dash or whatever, and it got messed up. And he was just like, as long as you can make this look better than it does, I don't care. And I was like, that's a standard I can live with.
Yeah, of course.
I think I can work with that.
I don't think I can really fuck this up. Just
not any more than it looked.
Yeah.
It was rough. And so I, used a little steamer, tried my hand at it. And, of course, I did my best to make sure it was straight, Didn't exactly have like the dexterity that I have now to figure out how to make it how I want it, but I knew when it was or wasn't straight.
Right.
Anyway, he was like, actually, this looks really, really good. Thank you. And I was like, oh, well, I can do this shit.
You the fucking boost of confidence you needed.
It really, like, from there, like, my shoulders, were a little more, my chest puffed out a little bit. I stood up a little straighter. My, chin held high. And from then on, I just kind of really got excited about doing it. Anytime anybody asked about it, I still never wore a hat until I found one that I tried on and was like, I actually kind of like this on me. And this is not a joke. You can ask like my other best friend who was my manager there. There was a day, I literally walked up to my coworkers. And I had this little hat on, and I was like, hey, guys, I have an announcement to make. And they all looked at me, and they're like, what? What's going on? And I was like, I'm going to be a hat person from now on.
That's fucking right there.
I said that out loud, and they looked at me, and they were like, all right.
You just wait.
they were like, can you go back?
I'll show you.
Can you go back to your department and
man.
quit being weird?
But little do they know.
And I just started really digging it. But at a place like that, it's not a specialty hat store; it's a Western wear store, And so like they had hats, they had a good little selection, they had a steamer, and I really kind of was looking for a place where I could do more. I knew there was more because I started really researching it because I really started liking it a lot more, finding out just a lot more information about how deep it really goes because there's so much work that goes into all of it. There's so many layers and different types of things. And I ended up stumbling upon Herbs in San Antonio and finding out about them. And
shout out to Brian and Kay. My God, incredible
oh my goodness,
fucking people.
Amazing people. Let me just make that statement right now.
Absolutely.
They are.
Not just saying that because they might be listening.
No, they're probably not.
Probably not, but that's okay.
I'm kidding. No, they are amazing, and I love them to pieces. And I'm very grateful to be working for them. But I found out about Herb's Hat Shop that it was a full service hat store, and there's not really many of those anymore. And I got in contact with Miss Kay, and she's the sweetest person on the face of the earth. And immediately we were just like, well, let's get going on this,
see what happens. Yeah.
And just been learning how to use the tools and how to do this and that, and learning the more in-depth stuff about where the quality comes from and what they're made of, and exactly how hats are made, and exactly what you can do with them at the point that they already are made, and are done this and that way and all that. And I really kind of started finding my own like creative freedom with it, and I've always kind of been a creative person, but I kind of lost all of my outlets over time. Just
And this really kind of gave you the outlet to be able to do
oh,
that.
absolutely.
To be able to
and I
express
kind
your
of
creativity.
rediscovered my creativity
Yeah.
there, and it's kind of just blossomed from there. And I've found it like I've gotten pretty much like obsessed with it, you know. And I did have one lady while I was working at D&D. Shout out to Miss Kat Balmos, the owner of Lot 59 in New Braunfels, and now the local as well. I started going and visiting her store, which is a super cool spot, and I started talking to her, and she has like this atmosphere where you can just walk in and sit on the couch and grab a glass of wine, just sit and talk to her for hours and stuff, and she's super interested in everything you have to say. And so she was like probably the first person who was super gung-ho about me doing hats, like, and this was when I was still kind of barely knew anything about it. And but I would go into her store and I'd buy vintage hats to practice on.
Awesome.
Because they were obviously cheaper than brand new
Of course.
hats, you know? And I'd find cool old hats. I found this cool old brown one that had a snakeskin band on it. That was super
Nice.
cool, and I loved it, and I wore it for a while. But like I would go and I'd talk to her about it, and she'd be like, you know, she kind of understood, and almost more than I did at that time. She told me one day, she was like, that you could see that there's like a romance in a hat. It's a special thing, your hat, to you as a person, you know. It's the most personal type of accessory or thing that you can wear, really. It's the first thing people see on the top of your head when they look at you. It's a huge part of your personality. And she was probably the first person who was super encouraging to me. That really made me feel like, rather than just like, oh, this is a neat interest, it was like something that like you could tell I was actually growing a passion for, you know.
Exactly. It's kind of like in music. I mean, you can enjoy something yourself, but really it doesn't really hit home, and you don't really solidify that into your own, you know, mindset of, hey, I really want to do this, until somebody gives you that sort of positive reaction and positive reinforcement.
Absolutely.
Saying, hey, you're doing something that I think is really fucking cool, and it has an influence or an impact on me to whatever capacity, to whatever degree. And once you really hear that, it kind of gives you the incentive to be able to want to do it more, as to say, well, this isn't even just for me now. I could really do something for somebody else.
Absolutely. And I'll get in a minute to where that kind of part came in. But I got to say, I agree with you on that entirely, because I can say you probably, as a younger musician getting into it, you were probably all you heard was complete albums by bands that are full and have spent years and years and years together, and they've like perfected their craft. You don't hear the guys that you look up to in their earlier days, when they absolutely fucking sucked and they were trash. All you hear is yourself sucking.
Yeah.
And your vision is them, and you're so far away from that. And it's very discouraging at the beginning, especially if you don't have somebody who kind of sees that in you and sees the potential.
Yeah, that can push you and say, hey, you can become that one of these days.
Absolutely.
With the right amount of hard work, perseverance, and you know, gain a good perspective, and lay out sort of the roadmap as to where you want to go with that. I mean, gain influence, and just learn your own craft and make it your own.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what I started doing when I started at Herbs. I really. And again, shout out to Miss K. She's really been very encouraging of my creativity, and kind of has been so supportive in a way where if I tell her like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this with this, she's like, absolutely, do it. You know, if you've got an idea, go for it. You know, and I've really felt a lot of freedom to really explore a lot of what I'm thinking about when I'm doing this, and it's gave way to a lot of neat projects that I've gotten to do. And from there, I've noticed not only did it kind of make a change for me, because again, this is where it starts sounding a little more weird on my part, where I'm like the person who's looking a little too far into this, but I've found, at least with myself, because I've always been always a very friendly person, but somehow, and a person with a ton of acquaintances, but never really a lot of super close friends. And I've always been...
I thought I was your friend, Katie.
Well, that's now, pal.
Okay.
But growing up, I I was the girl who like wore her hair in a ponytail every day, and I wore a ball cap every day, and I wore just like jeans and a t-shirt, and I never really liked to draw attention to myself in the way that I looked and this and that.
And that's admirable, and I think that, like, even I can still even see traits in that. I mean, you were an individual. I mean, you were just yourself. You weren't trying to fit into any kind of social norms or be accepted. I mean, you were just you.
Yeah.
Which is fucking very admirable and very honorable.
Thank you. And but a big part of that too is like I felt there were times like I saw things that I wanted to, and it didn't help that also I was, we were pretty broke growing up, so like I kind of just had a very limited access to what I had, what clothing options I had. But like in high school or something, when I could really kind of start branching out and doing stuff, I would try out different things. Like there was a time I went with like suspenders for a minute, like that kind of thing. Like, yeah, I had one of those days.
Okay.
And I was really influenced by like my brothers when I was younger. So like I did listen to like a lot of like punk and ska and all that kind of stuff when I was in high school. So I was wearing like neon yellow skinny jeans and like checkered Vans and like a white V-neck shirt and like some suspenders with one hanging off kind of thing. Like that was my look, and I, not that like I feel like a lot of people made fun of me to my face, but they probably well,
I mean, goddamn,
I wasn't the most popular.
Look,
I mean,
everybody goes through those
exactly.
fucking things.
No,
I was
absolutely.
a scene kid at one point too.
Exactly, absolutely. But I guess I feel like I always wanted to try something a little different, but I never really felt the confidence. Like I felt like people would like look at me and be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Stop.
And when you're so young, you're so impressionable, and everybody else's opinion totally fucking matters to you whenever you're that young.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it fucking does, and it's
that's the biggest thing in the world to you at that time.
It's mortifying whenever somebody else doesn't fucking accept you. And now that we've gotten a little bit older, and now that we're fucking adults, it's like
it makes it hard at that. It makes it hard at that time to be bold.
Suck a Frank who give fuck you. I don't care what you think about me.
And again, not that like I was lucky enough to have like a great like high school class that like was like we were all pals, to a certain extent. There were everybody gets their times when they get made fun of or whether they get a little bullied or blah blah blah. But there's also plenty of times where like I was accepted by a full range of different types of, I don't even want to call them cliques because it was a pretty cool graduating class. Like it didn't seem as cliquey as most, but there were like certain friends groups and this and that, and of course they all had different interests. And I never really fell entirely in with one, but I was at least generally kind of accepted in a friendship way to pretty much all of them. So that's
kind of like me in high school.
Yeah, so like I got along with everybody. Everybody got along with me, but at the same time I still felt like nervous about like branching out and trying to like dress a certain way or do a certain thing. So I always just kind of kept it boring, And when I started wearing hats, I was never a super confident person. And I noticed when I started wearing hats, like every single day, at least twice a day, somebody would be like, "I like your hat." And the biggest fear everybody has, especially with wearing hats, and that was the fear that I had initially too, was someone's going to see you in it and they're going to be like, "What do you think you're doing?" And again, now when I say it, it sounds silly because at the time when I felt it, like people are going to see that I'm not a hat person. They're gonna look right through me wearing this hat.
But you are such a fucking hat person, and it just absolutely fucking works.
And I think a ton of
anybody
people
that has never met you and does not know you can fucking look at you and be like, "Oh my god."
Oh, there's people now that like they wouldn't recognize me without a hat.
Yeah, you were the fucking poster child for goddamn Rad Hatter, Cati Kincaid, man. It's fucking incredible, and I love it. And I have people ask me all the time, because we post a lot of shit on Facebook together.
Oh
and,
yeah.
We
posted some silly stuff today.
Just some silly stuff today. Silly stuff at the fucking bowling alley yesterday. I mean, goddamn cranberry fucking dual eagle over here.
Oh man, don't undercook the look, son.
Don't undercook the look. More swag than a hefty bag, too much to fucking
brag.
They
call me ranch because I be dressing.
But again, and I can honestly tell, with sort of like from a stylistic standpoint, like an aesthetic stylistic standpoint, the way that you've sort of developed your own, look and in the way that you carry yourself, I can definitely tell that it really has, spiked in your levels of confidence.
Absolutely.
Which is fucking incredible, man.
And now, like, I'm wearing stuff like I've got like these old vintage Western shirts, but I'll still wear stuff like a open button down, like a really goofy ass T-shirt underneath or something like that.
Should have seen it at the fucking bowling alley yesterday.
Oh man, yesterday I was in some cranberry maroon
cranberry
skinny
glaze.
jeans.
Come on.
Cranberry glaze skinny jeans. I had the bowling shoes on, which were the same maroon color, which was amazing.
Which just fucking,
shout out to Sunset Lanes.
You couldn't
for having
fucking
the right
plan
kicks
that.
for me on that one.
Oh yeah, you couldn't have planned
and
that twice.
just before we had gone out bowling, I had stopped at the vintage store Vagabond here in San Marcos, which is like my favorite go-to place, and there was this perfect maroon pearl snap that had like on each like yolk. We're still talking about them eggs. Still talking about them eggs.
Talking about them eggs.
On each yolk, they had an eagle with like a dream catcher, and it was like the greatest shirt I've ever seen. It fit me perfectly. So I went and I bought it, but I wasn't wearing it when I showed up to hang out with Drew before we went bowling. But we just decided we were showing up when we were going bowling. We were showing up. I think you were in some jorts, some like crew socks, and you were in house shoes.
Fucking house slippers.
Tucked in t-shirt,
no belt, because I buy pants that fucking fit. I buy jean shorts that I haven't worn in 6 years, and somehow I still fit into them.
Hey, there you go. It's a little Daisy Duke Ryans.
That little Daisy Duke Ryan.
Wearing some Daisy Dudes.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, so like I was wearing pretty much an all full maroon head to toe outfit and a cowboy hat.
You look like a bottle of wine.
and it did.
And the fucking brown hat on top.
My hat
cork.
looked like a cork. Like it was amazing. And if there's anything I'd gladly look like in this life, it's a bottle of wine.
Shit, you look at me long enough, make your ears warm, baby.
Well, I guess I could be red wine when I'm wearing that, and white wine literally 99% of the time.
99.9% of the other time.
I am. But anyway, so yeah, I gained a lot of confidence, and now I've been dressing in a style where like I find something ridiculous, and of course my family roasts me entirely all the time about it.
Oh,
but like that's
family.
That's family roasting. It's nothing negative, but it's sort of the stuff I was always afraid other people would say about me, and like literally nobody says anything other than like, I love your outfit. You look awesome. You look great. This and that, and it like shoots the confidence.
Oh yeah, that's what you need strangers for, and random people for, and friends for, because family will fucking roast you. My family roasts me all the time, like, you do too many drugs. You're in the bar every night, and I'm like, y'all are family. I get
That's awesome.
Fuck my life. But anyway, they're just
you're
family.
A fucking degenerate and a waste of life. That's family.
That's just family.
That's my fam.
Thanks,
Greeted.
guys.
Give me hugs.
You say it with love.
But
oh man.
I guess what I'm getting at with all of that, though, rather than saying that people compliment my clothes now, is to say that that's something that I've been feeling like I'm passing on to other people. By my favorite thing is getting somebody in their first hat.
Of course.
Because there's so many people that like they'll be like, oh man, I love your style, I love this and that. I'm not a hat person though. Like I wish I could wear a hat. I'm like, what do you mean you wish you could wear a hat?
Like you fucking can.
All you got to do is put it on.
Just try it.
And then I got people that are like, well, where would I wear it? I'm like, I wear my hat literally everywhere. Every waking moment of every day.
I'm the prime example. So, what was it? Fucking 3 years ago, you brought me my first hat. 2.5.
3, I guess. Yeah, because it was about a year into my stint at D&D.
Yep.
That was like the first like vintage hat I found for anyone.
Yeah.
And was like, well, this needs to belong to somebody.
Yeah, and honestly, you brought it to me. We were hanging out at Chimmy's right there in San Marcos, and we just met it for a couple beers. Mm-hmm. And I remember you brought it, and you said, "Hey, I've been looking to give this to somebody, fucking really wanting to kind of try this out with a musician." And I put it on, and I remember the motherfucker was way too tight, and I loved it. I loved
but you were like,
that
we're gonna make this work.
We're gonna make it work, and I was like, I love the way that this.
And
fucking
I didn't have
looks.
all the tools and stuff at the time to like resize it, so we had to get a little creative.
Oh no! And so I just jammed that motherfucker on my head. I ripped out the entire fucking lining of the inside just to give me that fucking 64th of an inch more fucking room. And I still wear that hat almost every single day of my life to this day.
That's your go-to every single day.
To this day, it's just caked in fucking sweat. It's stained. It's got pins all over it.
It's garnered a lot of character.
Of course, and that motherfucker's been all around the fucking nation with me. I've worn that hat in Florida. I've worn it in fucking Colorado. I've worn it in Utah. I've worn it fucking out west. I've worn it everywhere, all around Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, fucking Arkansas.
That's one of those.
Nashville,
If that hat
everywhere.
could tell some stories. You'd burn it yourself.
Absolutely. You're saying too much there, Hat. You're saying too much. Speaking of burning it, and that's the fucking best part of that. That's the best part of that. So I remember whenever you first got that tool to etch, to etch
to
stuff.
do the branding and everything.
Yeah, to do the branding in the hats. I remember you came over, and I'm so glad you didn't allow me to do this. So we put Duke Ryan on the back of it.
Dude, we were drunk in your garage.
We were fucked up in my garage.
And I had friends come over, too.
To specifically get this done.
Specifically, because that was like the first day I had posted like a picture of me having done that to a hat, and so they were like, well, I want you to do that to my hat, like, where are you? And I was like, I'm getting drunk at Drew's house tonight. And so
by the way, my real name is Drew.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm getting drunk at Duke's house tonight.
No, it's fine. And I know every single person that's fucking listening to me knows. And they're like, why do you keep calling yourself Duke? I just fucking, it's stuck, and I'm fucking sticking with it. I'm fucking.
Listen,
look,
we're here now.
Look, I'm hard-headed.
It's
I'm stubborn.
etched on my hat. I'm Duke Ryan now. I'm
stubborn.
Duke Ryan now. let me be me. So they were like, "Well, where's his house? Like, can you come? Can you do that?"
Yeah, come over.
So we, of course, yeah. So Duke is like, he was like, tell him, come on, like, we're grilling, we're drinking some beers, come on. And so they came over, and we were like sitting on the ground in his garage because this thing has to be like plugged into an outlet, it's a little electric thing. And I like hand drew my pal's his little like brand for himself on his hat, and I am still surprised to this day that he saw me in the state I was in and still wanted me to do that.
Put Duke Ryan on my hat. No, first I wanted you to put Chicken Tickler on the back of my
you
hat.
You did, I remember
which
that.
I am so fucking glad that didn't happen because I wear that hat every fucking day.
We got ignorant that night.
And that is a story that I'm so glad that I'm not responsible for even fucking remotely being able to tell. Because if anybody, like, I could just imagine Chicken Tickler.
Chicken Tickler.
What the fuck is a
Come
Chicken
on,
Tickler?
You Chicken Tickler.
I would not want to have to answer that question a million times over.
Me and Cameron Moreland came up with a term the other day.
Cameron Moreland, goddamn, I love that guy.
It's a barn scatter.
Barn scatter. What is a barn scatter?
Barn scatter, motherfucker.
What is barn scatter?
We were talking about
barn scatter. Let's get at her.
We were talking about yodeling because that's the kind of conversations we have. We were in.
I'm gonna get him on one of these podcasts.
Oh, absolutely. That's gonna be a weird one.
Fucking, it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna be tripping mushrooms the entire time, I'm sure.
We were in Lukenbach and we were just talking, and he was like, I was listening to this like yodeling song the other day, and I was like, man, this is like terrible. And one guy was like, well, you got to be like really good at it. And he was like, I don't know. I think I heard like one of the best yodelers in the world. And I was like, this sucks. And he was like, it's like scatting, but like country. It's like jazz, like scat, but like for country stuff. And we were like, yeah, it's like farm scat. I said, I called it like farm scat. And he was like, I think I like barn scat better. And then he's like, that's one barn scatting motherfucker. And the whole night, we were calling everybody a barn scatting motherfucker.
Oh, fucking
and
love it.
so like that was a term we came up with the other day. But anyway, so yeah, I drunkenly put Duke Ryan on the back of your hat, and I'm surprised with how well it turned out. And then you decided you did put something on your hat.
Yeah, I flipped the brim over and I just fucking put DR and like the initials that I do whenever I fucking sign.
When you drunkenly burn your initials. So
I literally sign my stage name Duke Ryan like a fucking freshman emo kid would fucking write their name.
It's got the little diamond S thing.
Yeah, it's got
too.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. No, but I came up with that signature probably back when I was a sophomore in fucking high school. Whenever that name kind of sort of stuck. And the story behind that name, by the way. I'm not one of those. I am one of those assholes that kind of.
You literally came up with your own name. Let's talk about that.
All right, so we're gonna talk about that. So back whenever I started playing music, not a lot of people know this. When I started playing music, it was just me and my brother, and he used to go back. That was back when he was working on the oil rigs down in South Texas in Cotulla, and he used to go by Buck Nelson, and that's another dumb fucking name he gave himself.
That's the Laser. Come on.
That's Buck Nelson, Laser, Tyler Nasty, Buddy Love Sylvester we're talking about here.
Good God.
The guy's got more fucking names than a high-profile criminal. He's got more aliases. But they used to call him Buck
Really, he's
Nelson.
just a low-profile drunk.
Low-profile drunk, degenerate, fucking druggie. But hey,
he's gonna give me shit for
but
that
hey,
one.
man, I love the guy to death. But we would play music every Thursday night at this place called Jay's on Main Street in Needville, Texas, which has been recently shut down in the past couple years, which I would only imagine for like drug peddling or there's a bunch of drugs being sold.
Can't imagine.
We'd play there every Thursday and we'd make $200, which $100 a piece, $100 a man for a fucking sophomore in high school, that's a lot of fucking money.
That's money, son.
And so I remember the first ever fucking show that me and him had ever played out there, and he would just play harmonica, and he'd go by.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money to make to just sit and play harmonica. For
sit there and suck and blow, you know. But we were on stage.
Shout out to all the harmonica players. I'm not making fun of you.
Shout out to harmonica players that are actually good, you know, because it is actually.
Shout out to y'all.
Shout out to y'all.
It's easy to make noise on that thing, but
it's
to make noise well.
Yeah, to make
takes
noise
an
well.
art.
Yeah. Thanks for the effort.
Shout out to y'all.
Oh yeah. But we were sitting there, and it was for the first show, and you know he's doing his buck thing, and he goes, "Man, Drew Sylvester's a shitty stage name." And I said, "All right." And I said, "What do you want me to do about that?" "You got to fucking think of something, man. You got to think of a name." And I said, "Well, what?" You know, I didn't fucking know. He's, "I don't know. Just fucking think of something." So I got on stage, and I'd literally been sitting there for the fucking last hour right before we went on stage, and I was actually nervous about what the fuck I was going to call myself. So
it all hinges on this.
Yeah, so I got on stage, still have nothing in mind. And I don't know if it was because I was a fucking Luke Bryan fan back in the day. You literally just spit your fucking beer out.
This is
Rain
news to
makes
me.
corn. Corn makes whiskey.
The quality has not improved since that day.
No, not at all. And
then he recorded Winter Winter Catfish Dinner.
Floating down the Flint River. And so I was Flint Rivering up there, apparently.
Oh, man.
I had Flint River and corn whiskey on my mind. And I said,
hey,
all right,
baby,
ladies
he's
and
a country man.
Oh, God. And so I guess I had that fucking cocksucker on my mind. And so, by the way, I really hope this gets back to Luke Bryan. Thank you for fucking ruining what we're trying to do.
Apparently, anything I have to say about Luke Bryan just pisses the entire world of Twitter off.
Well, fuck Twitter. Fuck Luke Bryan. Fuck these assholes.
And that...
Anyway.
William Morgan?
William Morgan.
No, his first name's Morgan. Morgan Wallace? Wallin? I think it's Wallin.
I don't know.
I made a poll on Twitter the other day.
You're a fucking Twitter celebrity, by the way.
No, like I'm not.
A lot of people don't know this, but you actually are.
I'm not. Like, so.
Well, you fucking are.
So I used to tweet here and there, and like I was sort of like, I'm not that funny. So I got off Twitter for a while, and then like I got a new phone in like January, and I never re-downloaded Twitter. And like 2 weeks ago, I was like, I should open Twitter back up. And it was literally the exact date. I don't know if you've heard about old DC Patty at LJT this year. Oh.
DC Patty? What is that? Or who is that? Or what is it?
Mom, I know you're going to listen to this the second this gets posted, so now's a good time to turn this off for a minute.
Yes, Mom.
So there's a girl, and I got some great friends who were very kind to invite me to LJT, and they've invited me to LJT the past couple of years, and it just never has worked out. This is the first year I wasn't in college, and it wasn't during like my finals week, which was always the reason I couldn't go.
Did you go this year?
No.
Okay.
We had a bunch of work stuff and this and that,
Gotcha.
so I couldn't run. It was like very last minute. We're short staffed, so I couldn't do it.
So anyway.
Although I do greatly appreciate it, Weston, Colin. Thank you, boys, for always being real ones. But they invited me, and they gave me like a really good, like, they're like $100. You know, we got this and that and this and that. Come on out, like, stay in our, you know, our trailer and all that kind of stuff. And it was super awesome, but I just couldn't. So I missed out on it this year. But apparently, one of the happenings at LJT this year, one of the most newsworthy, I guess, was this gal. I think her name's actually like Hannah or Heather or something that starts with an H. But she posted on her own Twitter, and it got shared by LJT Confessions, and then it promptly got taken back down. A video.
This sounds fucking juicy. What is this?
A video of herself doing what got referred to as the dick chug.
What is this? Explain in detail.
So I didn't see the video. I just know I got on Twitter and it was the first thing everyone was talking about, and I was like, "Oh man, something's happening already." I just got back on Twitter. What's going on? And literally, and I kind of like, I was like, whatever everyone's talking about, I don't want to see it, but I feel like I have to. So I found her page because it was not like a deep dig that I had to do. Like everybody was like, it's this girl, you know, she posted it herself, blah, blah, blah. Everybody was talking about it. So I was like, I clicked on her page, and I was scrolling down, and I was like, I just don't see it. And then I saw everybody posting like, oh, they took it down already, blah, blah, blah. But there were so many people posting like, oh my God, I wish I could unsee what I just saw in the LJT confessions.
What the fuck was this?
So everybody, you know how they had LJT, it gets a little raunchy. A lot raunchy.
Absolutely.
And
herpes for everybody.
Everybody.
It's going around.
It's just, you know, they throw up some confetti and everybody's got herpes.
That's exactly.
And so, you know, they do like the boob-luges and all that kind of
what?
Boob-luge, where they pour beer down like a girl's cleavage and
a
guy drinks it.
Yeah, of course.
She did the opposite trade version of that.
Pouring beer down a dude's dick.
That she drank off
dick
of.
Dick bonging a beer.
Yeah, what they called is the dick chug.
Huh.
Is what they called that. And
no
so
shit, like a hard dick or a flaccid dick?
Because I didn't watch the video, and I didn't really care to find out that much more about it.
Like,
so
if
anybody's got answers,
if somebody
please
could
text
unsurface
Drew
this,
and not me.
No, go ahead and post this to the bottom of the bottle page. If you could fucking post the video, if this could resurface, or just explain this to me in detail.
I'm sure she'd be glad to send it to you. I mean, no disrespect. You do your thing, girl. I'm not saying anything negative about you. I just know that it got promptly taken off Twitter.
Dick beers.
And
hey, that's fine.
If that's you, girl, you do you, and I'm gonna do me over here.
And I'm gonna do me over here. I'm gonna fucking drink my beer like a normal person, not out of a fucking dick faucet.
But anyway, if y'all got that link, send it over to
Send it to your boy.
Send it over to Duke
Drew
Ryan.
Duke Ryan Sebesta. That's my personal page.
So
in fucking
maybe
bottom of the bottle.
maybe one day she'll do the Duke chug.
She's gonna do it out of my ass, if anything. I'm kind of into that weird shit, I guess. Because like chicks do it with their cleavage. Like I want to do it like in my butt crack.
That's the cleavage that you got, at least.
Yeah.
It's down. It's back there.
Yeah, that's my cleavage.
But
God damn.
Let's bring this train back around.
Let's bring this train back around.
But so anyway, that was the first thing that I saw when I got back on Twitter like 6 months later. And I was like, oh, damn, like, Twitter's lit right now. Like, this is a crazy day to get back on Twitter. Welcome back, Katie.
Welcome back, Katie.
And, again, when I've been on Twitter, I've never been one much for tweeting. I guess I never really have small thoughts. I've always just got big, annoying Facebook thoughts that require a lot more letters and words. But I just decided the other day, at work, my coworkers play a lot of KJ97, and I'm not going to be rude every day and just turn it off and turn on what I like. So a lot of days, I let it play, and I sit there.
And what is KJ97 for everybody that doesn't know?
It's the San Antonio's like big #1 modern country music station. Yeah. And no disrespect to KJ97.
No, it's dog shit. No. Just fucking throw in something good from time to time, please.
Well, they play some Cody Johnson.
Well, that's good.
I've heard them play some Randy Rogers and this and that. So they do play here and there. It's not a ton, but it's more than a lot of places.
Right. It's a lot more than fucking 93Q or 100.3
and
in Houston.
I've met a few of the what are they? Not DJs, but the
disc jockeys. Just
I don't think they even
radio personnel.
The personalities.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't think any of them have any control over what plays anymore.
No, they don't.
They just
that's
talk
all up to the network.
They just talk about stuff like we're doing.
That's all to the network. Yeah.
But anyway, that Randy Carroll and Jamie, like they're super cool. I've won some things off. They're cool folks. But anyway, but again, most of what they play is not entirely my jam. And I kind of sit fuming over it all day. Like because I can't help but listen. I really do pay attention to what they're playing.
Yeah.
And so
you can, because you can't just have this
it's not
fucking
background
sense of
noise
bias.
to me.
Yeah.
And I will sit there and I will hear it, and I'll hear the lyrics to these songs, and I'll hear the snap tracks and the this and that, and it's just the same shitty song over and over again.
Yep.
And it just irritates the crap out of me. But anyway, the newest like top probably like top 5 in the nation. These two probably fall in there right now. It's 2 new songs, that Morgan Wallen guy and Luke Bryan, and that Morgan guy has a song called Whiskey Glasses, which is, I think, a concept.
Oh, that's fucking original.
It's a song that I think every songwriter at the very beginning of their songwriting career has thought of, and then they wrote it down and they were like, well, that's too easy, and that kind of also sucks once you actually put it to paper. And they theyrew it away because they know that nobody actually needs to make that song.
Right.
It's a song about I got my heart broke, so I need some whiskey glasses, you know.
Oh, God.
And is that not the dumbest thing? And then, of course, it's like...
Why does this shit sell?
This is 90% of the song, though. He says, like... And I'm sorry to everybody on Twitter who's going to try to correct me again the way y'all did already. I don't care about the lyrics of this song because they're basically...
They're basically basic and they're dog shit.
Fill them up, 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 pour them up, pour them up, pour them up, knock them back, knock them back. Like, that's literally like 90% of the song. It's super repetitive, super
easy,
dumb.
simple,
it requires no thought to the listener. And
well, no, it requires thought to the kinds of listeners that are listening to it because they're dumb as shit.
It took 3 people to write that song.
Yeah, it took
and it wasn't the guy who sings it.
It took 3 people to write 3 different lyrics.
And the guy who sings it couldn't even write that.
God damn it.
Anyway, so it's that song, and then Luke Bryan has a new song called "Knockin' Boots."
I've actually heard that one a couple of times.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's a very
really
campy
recall.
little song.
I'm sure it is.
Very, and it's dumb as all get out,
Of course.
And so I made a Twitter post, and like I have like probably I was shy.
You're
of like,
fucking Twitter famous, okay?
No, I'm
Let's
not Twitter. I was
establish
shy of like 500 followers, which is not a lot in the Twitter world. It's a shit amount of followers in the Twitter world, and I don't care because the people that follow me are like 12 of my friends, and the people that automatically follow you back when you follow them.
Okay, you're being so fucking modest.
And so I posted this little poll because I thought like 2 of my friends were going to be like, oh yeah, that song does suck. And what I did was I made a Twitter poll because you can do that now.
Yeah.
And I said like, what is the dumbest song on the radio right now? The top 2 contenders are Whiskey Glasses and Knockin' Boots. And I posted it. I tweeted it rather, and I closed it out and I went back to work or whatever. I just had to get that out of my system.
Post and drop. That's all you got to do.
And I left.
As Joe Rogan says.
And then my friend Kayla texted me and she goes, "LOL, dude, holy crap, Twitter." And I was like, "What about Twitter?" I was like, "My Twitter?" And she was like, "How are you missing this?" Because my Twitter's not set up to give me notifications when anything happens. So like, as if I'm not open in the Twitter app, I don't see anything that's going on there. And I opened it up and I had like 300 notifications.
God damn.
Of like Yee Nation got a hold of this. And apparently what had happened, and I didn't even know this, I didn't see it, or if I did see it, I didn't know the guy to know that it was him. I had to like Google the stupid song to find out what his name is just so I could tweet it. And I had to like retype his name with the @ like 30,000 times to actually find his actual thing, so I didn't care to actually figure it out. And anyway, apparently he tweeted me and he's like, "Who's the dumbest person on Twitter right now? The top 2 contenders are you and you." And I was like, "Did you have somebody write that shitty tweet? Like you had to have somebody write that shitty song."
Oh, you knuckle dragging, mouth breathing, stupid fuck.
So I mean, and again, all I did was really just say that the songs were dumb. I didn't say anything personal about him. Or Luke Bryan for that matter either.
That's what happens within that camp, man.
But like immediately, there were people that were like, "How dare you say this about them?" And they work so hard. No, they don't.
Yeah,
they work
no,
so
they don't. No, they absolutely don't.
They work so
well, I mean,
hard.
they might work hard as far as like touring and stuff like that. Like as far as like the life that it takes to become or just to be fucking famous. Yeah, I'd imagine it's exhausting, but in the shit that you have to do, you didn't fucking work hard on your craft by any goddamn means. No. Absolutely not.
No.
So if you're talking about from like a songwriter standpoint or a compositionist standpoint,
everybody's working hard. You can't tell me they're working harder.
Yeah, no, they're not working harder than fucking your Stapletons or your Sturgill Simpsons or your Jason
really think my
Isabels
little
or your
tweet
Tyler
is hurting
Childers.
them?
No,
it's not having an effect on their lives.
You fucking offended me.
They're not gonna. They're not gonna stop being millionaires because I tweeted that I think their songs.
No, they're not.
No, and they don't care. And I gotta say, I respect Luke Bryan for completely ignoring the whole thing and not going into contact with it much more than that Morgan guy did, because he got real emotional about it. And he blocked
Guys
me.
like Luke Bryan aren't giving a fuck. They're getting their dick sucked on a fucking tour bus somewhere. They don't give a fuck.
But that Morgan guy did the thing where like he tweeted me and then blocked me immediately, so I couldn't say anything back.
Wow.
And then apparently Bobby Bones tweeted me.
Who did?
Exactly.
Bobby? Did you say Bobby Bones?
Yes.
I've heard that fucking name somewhere.
And that's what I thought when somebody told me. They're like, "Oh my God, dude, Bobby Bones tweeted you."
Yeah, I've heard that name.
And
Bobby
I was
Bones.
like,
I was
like, I think that's a famous person, but I don't
yeah.
remember. He's the guy who, like, for iHeartRadio, like, so
Yeah.
like the kingpin of all the shitty country music.
That's exactly who
he's
it is.
He's the number one, like, I guess, radio personality for like
fucking
all of that.
shithead.
So he's on like every thing.
The Bobby Bones show.
And
I
he
remember that.
he tweeted me. He tweeted back to like Morgan Wallen-ish
Whoever
Waller
the fuck this guy's name.
about. He goes, "You acknowledged her. You made her whole life." And I tweeted him back, and this was like 2 days later,
Like,
because
I
again,
need
I
your
didn't even see
shitty
that.
fucking
Somebody had to
approval.
link me to that tweet for me to see it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's that guy. And so I was like, oh yeah, this guy who makes shitty music made my entire life, because I had to sit there and Google his
Fucking-
song to figure out what his name is. And he tweeted me back, which means it made my life, when I don't really give a shit like that. Like, I didn't even know who you are either. Like, yeah, that's what I was doing this for, was to
God damn.
and so that one time I tweeted a thing just for like my two pals who actually like my stuff on Twitter, and like for like 3 days, and actually like to this day, like at least twice a day, I'm getting like another person dragging along. They're like, "Oh yeah, they're making way more money than you are." I'm like,
I'm sure they are.
yeah, like is that an argument?
I didn't bring any of this up. Like,
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had like, oh man, I had
That
a girl.
wasn't the point.
I had a girl messaging me like F you, F this, you effing bitch, this and that. Like, she was like, I had one girl, she tweeted me and she goes, like, "Them's fighting words, sweetie," and I just sent her pull up.
Pull up.
I said pull up, and then she tweeted me back and she
Pull
goes,
up.
"You know, I would, but you're from Texas, and I bet I'd probably die, so thanks for playing." And I screenshotted that before she could delete it,
Oh, my
that's one of the
God.
greatest things I've ever received
That's
from
fucking
somebody.
awesome.
I had one guy who was very, very, like, he couldn't type in, like, he's so
Stupid.
He's stupid.
That's what I'm saying. That's the kind of people that listen to that fucking music, because they've got no form of intellect and ability to think for them fucking selves,
Exactly.
and really just to kind of understand what is good. So they listen to the shit that is literally
Oh,
shoved
and
down their
by the way-
throats, that is so fucking easy to, get involved
Absolutely.
with and easy to remember, and it's very simplistic, and
Oh,
it's very
it turns,
fucking...
apparently it turns people into like cult members over this stuff.
Oh yeah,
Like,
and they're just dragging their
they're-
knuckles, breathing
they're-
out of their
they're
mouths, drinking
yelling
their
at
fucking
me like
Bud Light.
I
Not
dropped-
dissing Bud Light. Bud Light's okay.
No, but, like, they-
Bud Light, give me a sponsorship.
They were coming at me like I literally like took a shit on their mother's grave. Like, they were coming at me like this was personally an attack against them, not the musicians I was talking about, but that person on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, "Oh, you clearly just want our attention." I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Katie, these people have nothing better to do. No.
No, but
Clearly they want attention.
No, obviously no, but like that was my days this week that I got apparently like Twitter infamous. But shout out to like the 100 new followers I got over that.
Sometimes you just have to do something very fucking controversial.
And I didn't even mean it as controversial.
I
It's just
know,
like,
I
but
know,
that's
and
the
I'm just
thing, like
fucking with you
how
for
that
that.
shit goes. But
It does, and that's the unfortunate
But
like evil
oh, yeah.
of social
and
media.
I've seen a lot of that. I'll be honest. I made fun of you for saying you were a Luke Bryan fan. I used to be like obsessed with Hunter Hayes. But that kid's actually talented, though.
Oh yeah,
his songwriting.
no,
it's not that it's.
Well, he fell into the big machine. He fell into the big machine, and he signed a fucking
He's
humongous
got a sound
record contract.
that's like, yeah.
But the kid is very talented. I mean, he played every
Absolutely.
fucking
I still stand
instrument.
behind that.
He played every fucking instrument on his first record, probably on all of his
Co-produced it.
records, even leading
No,
up to that.
and I know this for a fact because I was a huge fan. The second record, he decided he didn't want to do.
He wanted studio
but he
guys.
decided he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
He could have done
He was
it.
like, I could have done it, and I could have fucking killed it. But and that's very that's
But like,
very
you seen that
admirable.
video of him as like 4 years old playing on stage with Hank Jr. at this giant thing? Yeah,
absolutely. It's like, dude, I don't really like your music, but dude, I respect you as a fucking musician.
Yeah, and
I
like,
respect you as an artist.
when I liked him, I was like 19, so like I was digging that sound, and I was hoping too, because my
and every fucking 19-year-old girl was fucking
absolutely,
head over heels
and I
in
started,
love with the motherfucker.
And then I moved to like San Marcos, and I started getting into like the Texas country scene, and I started really appreciating songwriting because this was my first way to really
this
dive
shit's
into
actually
it. Like,
good.
oh, there's like stuff that makes you, you can feel.
You can feel and you can think, and it's like, Oh my God! Like this
this shit gets deep.
This is
like,
powerful.
Yeah. Like, and so I really started loving that, and I was really hoping because he really is like a very talented human being, an extremely talented musician, and he has so much potential. And I'm not like against him doing what he wants to do by all means, but I think I had a lot of like high hopes that as he grew older, like I did, like life would introduce him to some things that would give him room to make some really hard-hitting music, because he had the potential to do that. He
definitely did, but he had the potential, but Katie, he didn't have the choice. And
No,
I'll tell you,
that's true.
I'll tell you why I didn't have the choice. A young cat like that is so fucking talented, he might have been out there playing whatever he was playing. He might have been playing some of the same shit. He might have had some of the same sort of poppier influences. It doesn't really matter. But a kid like that, I could only imagine, like had this is what kind of got brought to him. He was probably approached by some big record executive and said, "Kid, you've got what it takes. I'm going to fucking take you to the top of the charts.
You got you to the top,
I'm going to take you to the top of the charts." He's holding a big fucking cigar. And he fucking means a whole lot to a lot of people. And maybe to this kid, no matter how he fucking might have swayed him, in one direction or the other. He got this kid's attention. He probably got the attention of his parents or whoever the fuck his, people that, like, his influencers around him.
Well, he grew up playing, like, with Hank Jr. and Wayne Toops,
yeah,
and
so again,
so
that goes to show
he's been in that shit for a long time. So but that also means, like, especially in Nashville, like, it's easy access, a lot more easy access to all of those big people when you're already kind of in there.
But a young kid like that looks like that and kind of has that presence, you're not gonna fucking take a kid like that and sell fucking traditional country. You're gonna take a kid like that, and whatever the new kid on the block shit is on the fucking radio, whatever's commercially selling at that point is what's gonna fucking sell.
Oh,
so that kid got offered a fucking huge shit lump sum of fucking money, and they said, "Okay, well, you are fucking extremely talented, so we're going to let you play. We're going to let you do your own fucking thing. We'll probably even let you write some stuff. But whenever you get in the studio with our producers and our engineers and our writing teams, everything that you do is going to get passed by us, and everything that you craft and everything that you create, we're going to have guys come in and we're going to fucking put our touches on it the way that we know how to fucking sell music, and we're going to push that product." And again, I don't fucking blame the motherfucker. I don't, because otherwise he could have stuck his fucking roots, done whatever he wanted to, if even that was his roots. I don't know shit about Hunter Hayes, but the kid got offered a fucking hell of a contract. He made a fucking assload of money, made a huge fucking name for himself, and he's a talented motherfucker. So I don't blame the kid entirely. But then you got these motherfuckers like your Sam Hunts and your other motherfuckers that barely can't even fucking strum 3 goddamn chords on a fucking guitar. How the fuck do these assholes get fucking figured out? I mean, that is just straight out of a fucking they're farming these motherfuckers.
Yeah,
like, they're growing these motherfuckers.
It's one of those things who's like, where's your early albums from before this?
They do nothing.
They don't exist.
Nothing. They don't.
They don't. And that's the thing. You can't find any information about, like, where were you playing before?
Of the
like,
industry. That's a creation of the industry by that's the creation of the big machine. That's all it is. They just like, okay, well, we need something that we can have complete fucking control over, and that really can't fight us creatively because there was no creativity that existed there prior. So they take a motherfucker like that's good looking and can maybe sing a little bit. We'll throw some auto-tune on the motherfucker even at his live shows, and he'll fucking sound half-ass decent, and he's gonna make all the little girls' ginies tickle, I mean, that's how that fucking works. And it fucking works, and it makes these record executives big fucking money so they can sit there in their fucking fat corporate offices smoking cigars, snorting cocaine, getting their fucking dick sucked. I mean, that's how that shit works.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Fight the man, man.
Fight the man. But again, hey, I don't shit on people for making money. I don't shit on people for what they do. It's a fucked up industry, but it is an industry, and people do like it. People do find enjoyment out of it. So I'm gonna stop being so cynical. If you find enjoyment out of this kind of music, man, more power to you. Whatever makes you happy.
Don't take it so damn personal when I call you out on it on Twitter.
Just don't take it so personal whenever Cati Kincaid, the Rad Hatter, calls you out on Twitter for liking shitty music. We all have our own fucking opinions. Take it with a grain of salt. Stop getting your fucking ass so fucking hurt about it. Don't get so bent out of shape, and just explore other avenues of music, man. Listen to some fucking Tyler Childers. Listen to some Turnpike Troubadours if you'd not.
You'd find that the world is a beautiful place when you really dig into some really in-depth music.
Exactly. But it's all good, man. It's just one of those things. But Katie, I think we've had a fucking really hell of a podcast.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to say?
We didn't even go that far on like the hat stuff.
We
like,
haven't.
and what I even have anything to do with any sort of the music industry.
No, and that's
I
I kind of wanted to touch on some of your opinions about a lot of this stuff, though, being that this is like a musical-based podcast. But no, but honestly, like, so where does Cati Kincaid go from here as far as the Rad Hattery goes?
Hopefully, I'll continue to be able to make customized hats for all sorts of musicians. That's where really, like, I guess my niche is. I mean, of course, I love making hats for everybody. But I love seeing. I think because a lot of artists, their hat is a big part of their personality and their brand.
It is of mine.
It's you see them on stage with their hats, and that's a part of them. Cody Jinks for his hat.
Cody Johnson for
Cody
his
Johnson
straw
for
hats.
his hat. So many of these artists, and they have Stevie Ray Vaughan signature hat. All of these artists just, and to this day, it's coming back that way too. Even like Charlie Crockett doesn't have like one single hat that he's known for, but he's always wearing a hat. And all of these
Reminds
artists
me of somebody I know.
Oh, and you're seeing like hell, and of course like Copper Chief. I do their hats for them.
Fucking shout
I
out
love
to
those
Copper
guys.
Chief.
Fucking
Rio,
Mike,
John, Justin, Mike. Fucking incredible
those
guys.
boys,
fucking great friends.
dudes, amazing dudes.
Looking forward to playing their fucking the benefit for Sarah this Sunday too.
Absolutely.
Man. Hell yeah.
Love that girl, and I'm glad that this is this benefit's going on.
Absolutely.
It's for a great cause and everything too. So
fucking
it's going to be probably already have happened by the time this shows up, but
oh yeah.
But definitely yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a great Avery's Angel Fund. Look it up. It's a great cause.
And it's a very off the wall cause.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
it's
it
one
makes
of those
a lot
ones
of
you
sense.
don't really think about. Yeah, it's basically what they do is they take the money that they've raised, and what they do is for people who work in the service industry. So basically, Sarah made a living as a bartender on 6th Street in Austin. It's what she loved to do. She was very involved in the industry, and she loved so many people in the industry, and so many people in the industry loved her. But if there's one thing in this world that she loved more than all the people and all of her friends, it's little animals and critters. It's the animals and the aminals. And so upon her passing, her parents put together a little nonprofit in her honor called Avery's Angel Fund, and so they take it's basically to support emergency veterinary costs for the pets of those who work in the service industry, because a lot of times they just don't have that extra money on hand. If say like your dog's thrown up and you gotta go to the vet and they gotta have an emergency surgery, or all of a sudden this and that, and you're not financially prepared for that. And a lot of times those in the service industry are just not prepared for that, and so it goes towards that. And we've seen some folks who have already gotten to utilize those services, and it's helped them out a lot, because everybody's pet is their baby and they mean the world to them, and they want to be able to take care of them when they can. So that's a great thing. But anyway, back to the Copper Chief thing. I do hats for Copper Chief, and of course Duke Ryan at the drugstore gypsies.
Man, I got 4 of them now. Just got the 4th.
Fourth hat. Is this the 4th or the 5th?
It's 4th.
4th hat.
Mm-hmm.
We're running up the numbers right now.
Running up the fucking numbers.
So my favorite thing about this is doing hats for musicians, because I've noticed also, like what I was talking about earlier, there's just an amount of confidence that comes with wearing a hat, and I've noticed like the Copper Chief guys, especially Rio, already had hats. Actually, he wore hats, and I had been friends with him before I ever got involved in hats. And he was kind of one of my inspirations, seeing him always wear a super cool hat.
See him without a hat on, and you'll see how long he's been wearing hats.
He said it, not me.
Oh, I fucking love Rio.
But anyway, so they're definitely hat wearers, and I got helped customize a hat for Mike, and got Rio his new hat before they went on to Nashville to play on Real Country, and got Justin's hat done up that he got from them. We're working on something for John. We got that in the works right now, and so they've been super supportive of me just as much as Drew has as well. But you just see when they've got their cool hat that everybody sees on them all the time and they know them for it, and just the confidence they have when they wear it, it's a big part of them, and it's a big part of your personality, and that's what I love about it so much. And I had a customer come in about a month ago, maybe 2 months, the first time finally came into the store, and he walks up to me and he's like, I kind of want to, I asked him, I was like, is there, something I can help you find or figure out, or something that you got in mind? He was like, have you ever heard of a guy named Rio Tripiano?
Well, I'll be damned.
I immediately started laughing, and he looked so confused. And I was like, yeah, I have. I've heard of him. And he's like, he's got this hat. And I was like, do tell. And anyway, this dude, he had seen Copper Chief, and he liked their hats, and he kind of wanted. We ended up doing something that was actually a lot kind of closer to Mike's style, but he got a custom kind of chiefy hat, and put my first like leather Rad Hatter patch on it, and he or somebody else came up to me the other day saying they saw him wearing that hat at a show. They were like, I saw this guy wearing a hat that said Rad Hatter on
That's
it.
Badass.
And like, so that it's really kind of fulfilling to see all of that and to see the name spread. And there's so many outstanding like custom hat builders out there. I gotta say, like, I'm completely humbled by them. I see what they do from the ground up, and I think it's amazing, and it's what I want to do. And I don't see them as the kind of like competition where it's like, oh, I gotta tell everybody that I'm doing better than them. I appreciate the art that they have. To me, what I see it as is I can see somebody wearing a hat and probably tell you exactly who made it, just based on their style, because I study them so much, and I can recognize their own type of thing. And I do love and admire and respect all of the work that they all do, and they just encourages me to. It pushes my creativity to say, like, well, they did that, so I've got to see if I can come up with something that nobody else has thought of yet, and that's hard to do because there's been a lot of damn things thought of for hats, but at least different ways to incorporate them, but the biggest part is finding what fits your customer's style,
Of course.
And you've got like so many hats that have so many different looks to them.
And I always
Not
like
a single one is even close to the same.
I always like
Absolutely.
to challenge you. See if you can sew a
This
fucking
thing-
raven skull on
This
the
thing
back
with the
of my hat.
raven skull was the most unique thing I've ever done with a hat.
And that's honestly, like, whenever we came up with the idea, we were drinking at Jack's Roadhouse and, well on our way to getting shithoused. And, I've always needed a black hat, and I've always wanted to incorporate the conchos that have been in my family for years and years and years. I said, wouldn't that be cool? And I said, well, I'm looking for some black feathers. I was like, well, how about some raven feathers? And you were like, oh, we can do some raven feathers. And we were like, well, might as well put the whole fucking bird on there. And I was like, hey, let's get a skull to put on the back of that motherfucker. That is rock and roll if I've ever heard of it. And it was awesome. And again, Katie, you did a fucking phenomenal and exceptional
thank you.
job. It was incredible. And
It was a collaborative effort.
well,
for
I didn't
us
do
coming up.
shit. I didn't do a fucking thing other than just kind of give you the idea and give you some of the materials, and you fucking ran with it. And it was amazing. But
Well, it's fun. It's always a challenge, and I love it. And I love trying something new every time. And it's really cool to see something that you're like, how the fuck am I gonna make this happen? Like, I was like, that skull. When it came in the mail, I looked at it and I was like, how am I supposed to affix this damn thing to a hat?
because it came in 2 pieces.
Yeah, the jaw is not connected to the rest of it. So like the bottom part of the beak and the top part of the beak are not connected at all. So I had to, I don't use glue on hats. I don't do it. It messes them up. If somebody's putting glue on your hat, stop
Stop them immediately.
and stop letting them touch your hat. So I did super glue the bottom of the jaw to the top of the skull, and then I also sewed it together just to make sure it was good. And I had to really get creative as to how, because I don't know if you've ever held a raven skull up close, but there's not a lot of really solid spots to like hook a thread around to really hold on to it.
But for those of you, and for those,
And especially to make it not be
for the
seen.
many of you that actually have handled a raven skull, you know exactly what we're talking about.
You're out there. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, you know.
Oh, you
it's
know.
brittle, you know.
Oh, it's brittle. There's not a lot. When you're trying to sew it to stuff, I know y'all get it. It's
Y'all
hard
understand
to sew. But I managed to. I sat there in the shop after hours for about 4 hours, fighting with this damn raven skull. getting frustrated, getting ready to just crush it in my hand and throw it across the room. It like 12 times the damn bottom jaw fell off again, and I was yelling some obscenities, man. And but I got it figured out, and it turned out it looks bad.
It looks fucking. I've never had more compliments on anything in my entire life that I've ever put on my body. It was fucking amazing. It was amazing.
And then I've had some people, they're like, I need a hat with bones on it now.
Well, might come with a very, more than a nominal fee.
Depending on what kind of bones you're looking for.
I want a goddamn longhorn skull on the back of mine.
Well, your hat's already pretty heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've got some projects in mind that I'm very excited about. I think I've got something. I've sort of talked to him about it. Not that he's not a hat wearer. It's more of a get. Like I told him, I was like, this is for the sake of art. And it's
the William Clark Green
It's a
idea,
project that I want to do just for the sake of giving it to you. You don't even have to wear it. I know you're not a hat guy.
Nah, but dude, you and Will are such good fucking friends. I'm sure he'd wear
Well,
it.
I wouldn't put it like that far. I mean, he's like, we don't go hanging out and having tea on the weekends or anything.
Y'all are fucking good.
He loves my mom.
So
he loves my mom, and that's the reason he lets me hang around. It's because my mom's always got a lighter for his cigarettes.
Oh yeah.
Every time he doesn't have one. No, I'll show up to shows and literally everybody in the band's like, "Where's your mom?" And I'm like, "Well, that's cool."
Oh yeah, that's good to see you guys too.
Hi guys.
Yeah. But hey man,
But,
you're talking about literally the nicest fucking guy in the Texas
100%,
music scene.
No
William
doubt,
Clark
no
Green is
questions asked.
he's a sweetheart of the Texas music scene.
Absolutely.
I fucking love the dude to death.
And
Incredible
musically,
guy.
songwriter-wise, he's an absolute stud too.
Fucking awesome, man.
Absolutely. And so I've got a hat kind of, I don't want to give too much out because it's still got the idea in the works, but sort of A Bear Island inspired.
Yeah.
The more I hear it, the more I picture this hat. And I've got and it's such a fun song to listen to that every time I'm shaking. I'm like, I know what I want to do with this hat. And I just got to find all the pieces and parts that I need and figure out how to do it. And I think it'll be pretty cool once it's done. I've not started even anything on it, but the idea is there. And, it's the thought that counts.
It's the fucking thought that counts.
But I tried to ask him what his size is, and I've pretty much given up on that part of it, even fitting him, because I know he's not going to wear it anyway, which is fine. I'm not taking it as he's not going to wear my hat. It's more I just keep hearing this song, and it's made me picture this hat for so long that I'm like, I just want to make this. But if I'm going to make it, might as well, make a little gift to Will. There you go. Here's a, fun little hat inspired by your song. There you go. I don't want it. Please take it.
Fucking please take it off
I
my
just
hands.
needed to make it and get it out of my system, and there it is. I needed to make it a reality, and there you go. But isn't that art at the end of the day?
It's fucking art at the end of the day, just like music is, just like hat making is.
Gotta take what's in your soul, and you just gotta make it into reality and put it out there in the world.
That you do. You gotta fucking put positivity out there in the world.
Oh,
put
absolutely.
Fucking art out there in the world. Put music out there. Hat making, fucking everything. And I'll tell you what. I think it's about time that we wrap this thing up.
Probably yes.
If you're cool with that, unless there's anything else you need to say, I'm gonna go ahead and plug Herb's Hat Shop. They've got a location in San Antonio. Give them the address.
4922 Rigsby Avenue.
And then also they just opened up a new Blanco location back in October, if I'm correct, right?
Soft open, yeah,
Soft
sort of,
open,
yeah.
yeah.
So but we've so basically since then we've been open.
Yeah.
It's very new.
And both shops are fucking incredible, man. And again, every time you go in there, you're gonna get some of the best customer service you will ever get if you ever walk into a hat shop.
Thank you.
I mean, just it's very, very sort of a family owned, family operated sort of vibe to it, man. Kay and Brian, just absolutely incredible people. Go give Herbs a shout out. And a huge fucking shout out. Follow her on Twitter. Follow her on Facebook. Katie the Rad Hatter Kincaid.
Maybe not Twitter. Instagram. You can see hat stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, give her a
you don't
shout
need
out,
my
not a shout at. Don't shout at my girl. Give her a shout out.
I'm not as interesting on Twitter as I am on Instagram.
Oh yeah, Instagram, all that good stuff. But Katie, I love you to death, honey. We had a fucking incredible meal. Thank you for bringing. We had some backstrap. We had some fucking some good old asparagus. We had some fucking boudin sausage.
Shout out to my buddy Ryan of Robertson Farms.
Absolutely.
For the hookup on that, just killer. meats and sausages and stuff.
Oh,
we
yeah.
had the meat sweats like 2 seconds
I
into
was
this meal.
sweating like a motherfucker in my house.
But
and I
we
keep my house
persevered
at
and
68
we cleaned
degrees,
our plates though.
and it was fucking
and those
awesome.
plates were full.
Oh yeah, full of goodies. But anyway, man. All right. Well, I guess we have reached. Well, hang on a second. Here we go.
You gotta take a little chug there. And I'll take this opportunity to say, if you listen to good music, keep on keeping on. If you listen to shitty music, you know what? That's your thing, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful. Probably try some better music, but enjoy yourself.
That's it.
So enjoy what you enjoy. Love what you love. I ain't mad at you about it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we have reached the bottom of the bottle for this segment. Once again, I'm your favorite rock and roll DJ, brother Duke Ryan. Cati Kincaid, the Rad Hatter, once again. Thank you so much, once again, honey, for being on here.
Thanks for having me. This has been a ton of fun.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, we will fucking see you next week. Come on!
Well, I'm walking around in a big fine city, everybody looking down, trying to get along with the wrong kind of pretty, 'cause I know it's fine.